So after the last video in Bellingen, I was planning to make another one. As I said, we just needed to get the right footwear. As it turned out, we had a problem with another dog down by the water where we were, actually before I started filming, because we were just getting organised to take the dogs in the water. Someone showed up with a brown lab that was... What are you looking at? Oh, the sign. Oh, okay. Alright. So we're apparently standing in the middle of a labyrinth. We're in Civic Park in Armidale, so that's the next day from the Bellingen video. We just thought we'd bring Dimi into town, just have a wander around. Bruce is back at the house, because being older and with his bad legs, he struggles a bit with too much walking. So we actually took him for a quick walk around the block so he could sniff and do his stuff. And now, because Dimi's younger, he sort of needs training walking out in public. He gets a bit anxious, and so we thought we'd just walk around town. Yeah, so anyway, this person showed up with a brown lab in the back of a ute with no leash, no nothing. It just jumped out. Bruce, I had already seen it, but Bruce reacted to it really badly, which he doesn't tend to do as much as he used to, so it made me quite nervous, because we think he's actually quite a good judge of dog character. And then that dog came and basically hassled us and kept circling like a wolf trying to get to Bruce. So Xiaoli and Dimi were in between, and I kept Bruce behind me. Eventually it went away. The woman that owned it didn't even call it or do anything. So it sort of ruined the fun for us, and we left and drove back to Armidale. So I thought I might as well just make the second half of the video here in Civic Park in Armidale, which I think we haven't seen any signs, but I assume dogs are allowed, but obviously on leash. We were going to walk through, there's sort of a square in the middle of Armidale. There's actually a no dogs area, which is a bit disappointing. Obviously, being dog lovers, we sort of feel like well-behaved dogs should be allowed to go pretty much anywhere, but apparently not there. We sort of get it, because not everybody, unfortunately, keeps their dogs under control or cleans up after them, but that's the way it goes. So anyway, this is a nice park. He's enjoying the birds, as you can see. He's become quite a bird lover. He particularly likes ducks, but he will accept any bird to run after. Kind of likes magpies as well. We think it's the colouring. He thinks they're perhaps related. But yes, he will, if there's a water area with ducks in it, he will go barreling into it to try and chase them. But as we said yesterday, we're not even sure if he can swim or how comfortably he is swimming, so he really only goes out to chest deep and then gives up on the chase. I was going to, because most of these videos, we want to at least have some, apart from the dogs and beaches, which we haven't been to yet, we also want to have sort of stuff about MS, I guess a bit just talking about my experience. We don't sort of want to lecture anyone on what they should or shouldn't do, but just I guess talk about my experience. As I said in the previous video, I'm not overly burdened by it. I was initially diagnosed about 2.5 years ago because I woke up one morning with double vision. The doctors didn't really know what was wrong. I was originally diagnosed with labyrinthitis, which I had been diagnosed with before, so I think they took a bit of the easy way out. They put me on a mild steroid, but after 4 days I still had double vision, so they sent me for an MRI, which was not a pleasant experience. I mean, it wasn't the fault of the technician or the doctor or anything, but after they did the MRI, they actually left me sitting in a waiting area for about an hour afterwards, which just made Xiaoli and I exceedingly nervous, thinking that I had a brain tumour or something. And even then, they didn't tell me what they thought was wrong, so I actually had to go back and see my GP the next day. And the first question when I sat down with the GP was, do you have MS in your family? And I don't know if I swore, I probably almost did, but I was like, what? Like, MS? Which I don't have in my family, or not as far as I know. And yeah, so I think we're a bit lost for words. She then, after had a bit of a chat about it, and then sent me straight to emergency, which, as is the case in Australia generally, the nurses and everyone at emergency and in hospitals are great. So they took good care of me, put me on steroids, like strong steroids, for about 4 days. And basically after about that time, the neurologist said, yes, you've got MS. Which was all a bit of a shock. It's sort of my understanding that sort of less than 10% of people who get MS are male, and also the fact I was 48, I think, when I was diagnosed, which is quite unusual because most people get it younger. So anyway, the whole thing was quite a shock to us. I did get a second opinion at the time, but it was mainly because my brother sort of works or has a colleague. My brother's in the health field, has a colleague who's one of the top neurologists, I guess, in Australia. So I went and had a chat with him, and he said, yeah, it's MS, which I knew it was. It was just really to get some more input in how to deal with it and stuff like that. So they immediately put me on Xiaoli. Fortunately, I tested negative to the JC virus. Anyone watching this, I guess, if you've got MS, you sort of might know the relationship. There's a disease called PML, which I don't know too much about, but I think it's, in some ways, it can be similar to MS, but sort of worse. And apparently, in the original testing with Xiaoli, they had, I don't know how many, but a significant number of people who got PML, and they sort of seem to have worked out that the connection is perhaps a JC virus. A lot of the things I'm saying here is just sort of my understanding. I'm definitely not a doctor, and if anything I say is wrong, I apologise. I've been told about 50% of the population has the JC virus. It's another thing that they don't know how you get it or why, and it doesn't seem to really do very much in general, but for some reason this interaction with Xiaoli can lead to PML. So anyway, fortunately I tested negative, which sort of small victories in a difficult time. That was sort of good news. So they started me on Xiaoli. I get it every 4 weeks. So it's been 2.5 years, I think, and I haven't had a relapse, which seems to indicate that it's working. I also completely changed my diet, but I'll probably talk about that in another video. I won't talk about everything at once. This trip, because I get my Tysabri monthly, but it became really difficult with this trip because of the border closure. Queensland's border was closed when we were planning to leave, and because Cairns is so far away and we've got to take the dogs, the timing was really difficult to try and get up there, see a neurologist and be booked in for my next Tysabri appointment, all within about 3 weeks, because every time I have my Tysabri treatment I feel like crap for about maybe 3 days afterwards. So it fluctuates. Sometimes it's only sort of a day and a half, other days it's a week, other times it's a week. So we knew we couldn't really leave straight away. So yeah, in a 3-week period it just wasn't really doable. So my neurologist sort of spaced things out to try and make 6 weeks. She was comfortable with 6 weeks. She said she would definitely not let it go longer than that. So yeah, so that sort of made it awkward for us. I was a bit nervous the first, because my last treatment was 6 weeks after the previous one. That sort of made me a bit nervous. Yeah, we'll just keep going around and we'll go back up into town. It's a very big park here, as you can see. Something we've noticed about Armidale, so Armidale's got about 30,000 people. It's very quiet. I guess having lived in Sydney before on the Central Coast, you know, there's always people wandering around on the street. Armidale, it's just, every time we go out, there's nobody around. It may be something to do with COVID-19 and all that, because there's probably not. A lot of the international students who would go to New England University here are probably not in town. So it's probably just a bit quieter than normal. Yeah, anyway, so I lost my train of thought there. The 6-week gap between my Tysabri infusions. So we're at probably 2 weeks at the moment, so my next one will be in about 4 weeks. And by that time we should have been in Cairns for about a week. Everything going smoothly, unless they close the border again, and then we'll probably panic and try and cross the border before they shut it again, because usually they'll just close it. They'll say from midnight tonight the border's closed. So we're only maybe 4 hours from the border here. So anyway, we'll see how we go. Okay, so we'll probably leave this here. I'll make another video next time we get somewhere interesting. And Bruce will be back for that one. Okay, thanks.